The 12th house in the chart is the hidden drawer of the psyche, stuffed with forgotten dreams, clandestine fears, and unprocessed emotions, all rolled into a bundle that's both mysterious and magnificent, depending on how comfortable you are with uncertainty. Now, the thing about this realm is that it's not just introspective, it's downright oceanic. You don't so much think your way through it as float, drift, or occasionally get swept away by its current. It's a realm of the subconscious where the edges blur, where time is irrelevant, and where identity dissolves into something far bigger than the self. I mean, most of us are busy trying to hold on to who we think we are, only for the 12th house to softly say, "Oh darling, you thought you were a solid thing. Let's have a little swim in the infinite." Saturn, when it is placed in the 12th house, is a contradiction if ever there was one. Saturn, ruling over time, discipline, structure, the hard lines of life. The planet of boundaries, where things are defined, put in their place, and often held back. And here it is, finding itself in the most boundary-less, nebulous, and ethereal realm of the zodiac. It's as though the very nature of Saturn, the need for control, for limitation, for structure, begins to dissolve, but not without a fight. It's not just that Saturn has been misplaced, it's that the very essence of what Saturn is seems to come into direct tension with the deep, formless waters of this house. It's a strange kind of alchemy. Now, there's something incredibly meaningful in this paradox, because what you're dealing with here is a kind of spiritual apprenticeship. It challenges the need for material boundaries, for concrete answers, for definitions of who we are, and instead asks that we face our deepest fears, our subconscious patterns, and learn to let go of them. Saturn loves control. But in the 12th house, control becomes an illusion. What you're really asked to do here is submit to a higher process, a greater unfolding, a merging with the collective ocean. This is where Saturn becomes the teacher, but not in the usual way. Instead of learning through building, you learn through dismantling. Instead of progress through discipline, you find progress through surrender. It's the school of undoing, of dissolving the ego into something vaster, deeper, something eternal. The barriers we try to create, whether to protect ourselves from pain, or to keep ourselves in control, get dissolved here. It's not that Saturn loses its strength, it's that Saturn's strength takes on a different, more symbolic form. Rather than physical barriers, Saturn in the 12th manifests as psychological ones, the hidden fears, anxieties, and unresolved patterns from the past. These are the things that keep us imprisoned in the 12th house. It's the things we carry within ourselves that we can't easily break free from: old fears, deep-seated guilt, unresolved karmic baggage. Old wounds, traumas, or experiences that you thought were buried may rise to the surface in this house, as if asking to be acknowledged, healed, and released. Those strange phobias or anxieties, the things that don't make logical sense, might bubble up here because they aren't coming from the rational mind, they're emerging from the depths of the unconscious. People with this placement often experience deep loneliness, a sense of being misunderstood or cut off from others, which can feel just as imprisoning as a physical cell. Strange phobias or chronic fears can also manifest, as the 12th house governs the subconscious, and Saturn here can turn those hidden fears into real obstacles in your life. You might feel like you're carrying an invisible burden that no one else can see, and it manifests as this sense of unease, almost a dread, that something beyond your control is lurking just around the corner. You can't always pinpoint its origin, but it's there, like a shadow in the corner of your psyche. That's the trick with the 12th house, it deals in the unseen, the unnamed, the ineffable. The 12th house is a deeply psychological house, and Saturn's placement here means that the lessons you're meant to learn are often tied to those inner limitations, the emotional and mental structures you've built up over time. And because Saturn is a planet of karma, there can be a feeling that you're dealing with forces that stretch beyond this lifetime, as if the challenges you face have been carried with you for longer than you can consciously remember. The sense of isolation, of needing to withdraw from the world, comes as a form of self-protection. You feel the weight of it all, this karmic responsibility, this deep-seated fear that something bad could happen, so you retreat. Loneliness creeps in, not just the surface loneliness of being apart from others, but a deeper loneliness, the kind that's rooted in feeling misunderstood, even by yourself. On the one hand, there's the longing for freedom, for release from the invisible chains that bind you. On the other hand, there's a sense of duty, of karmic obligation. This is Saturn in the 12th at its most poignant, the tension between personal liberation and karmic responsibility. This is why timeouts and periods of withdrawal are so common for those with Saturn in the 12th. It's as though the weight of external life, its demands, its responsibilities, feels too much at times, so you retreat. You might not always know why you're pulling back, but there's a need to escape, not just from life but from your own feelings of inadequacy or guilt. It's a kind of hibernation, a time when you let the external world fall away so you can swim through the emotional depths of your own subconscious. The key is recognizing that while these feelings are very real, the chains aren't always as unbreakable as they seem. Saturn's lesson in the 12th house isn't about blind sacrifice or endless suffering. It's about understanding the difference between karmic responsibility and unnecessary self-punishment. There are duties to fulfill, but Saturn also asks for wisdom, for balance. The feeling of being locked up, of being bound, often comes from within, rooted in those undefined fears, those unprocessed emotions that we keep hidden even from ourselves. The boundaries, while they feel real, are often internal. The world isn't demanding that you carry the weight of everything on your own, it's Saturn's voice inside you, telling you that you must. But part of Saturn's lesson here is learning when to let go. To recognize that sometimes, the best way to serve others, or to honor your karmic path, is to release the things that are no longer yours to carry. You may feel like you're standing apart from others, like no matter how many people are around, there's still a thick, almost impermeable veil separating you. The 12th house is like that hidden part of the iceberg, the massive part underneath that no one sees but which holds the whole thing up. And with Saturn there, the work becomes about integrating the hidden part of yourself, learning to bring it into conscious awareness. Can you master the 12th house? Please like and subscribe to Phenomenal Astrology.